Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. This is Mo, and I'm super excited to chat with this person. I don't have any biological sister, and it's just as well because I can imagine girls can be quite annoying. But this person comes close, really, really close. She's my younger sister in every sense of that word. I'm older than her, 7 weeks exactly. And she's so rude. She doesn't even acknowledge it. These kids of nowadays, this Generation Z, Gen Z, or whatever they call themselves. Anyways, I have just rezoned her generation. We went to college, high school together. She came in her senior secondary year, from SS1 to SS3, and I thought she looked cool. And we've been friends since then. I'm godparents to her kids. I brought her on the show really to talk about her work with women who are indigent in Nigeria, in Africa actually, and a lot of her initiatives in lifting them from poverty and providing them with financial skills to be able to also provide some form of education to their progenitors. Today, I have the ever dynamic Funmi Okubanjo. This woman is very powerful, and it's such an honor to have her on the podcast. Jokes aside, it's such an honor to have her on the podcast. She speaks a lot of wisdom. She's also very... And let me stop saying nice things about her because she doesn't handle compliments well. So it's just as well. So, welcome to the podcast.
Okay, so I'm learning to take compliments. In fact, I'm learning to give myself the compliments. So I can do my own introduction now. Okay. So I call myself an essential service provider on the continent of Africa. If people like me, like myself, if we do not function, I don't know how our economy will survive. So yes, I'm an essential service provider. Okay. Anyways, thank you, Mo, for having me on this podcast. So my name is Funmi Okubanjo. At the core of me, I'm just someone who wants to help others. I'm just somebody who wants to empower others. So I usually would say I'm a catalyst because I get to start things. I'm a crusader because I will run with it as long as I believe in it. So you tell me an idea, I can literally own it, and people will hear me talk about it, and you'll be confused that, is this not my idea? Why does she sound like the owner of the idea? Yes, it's because I tend to passionately follow through on things that I believe are real and things that I believe are true to my identity as a person. So yeah, so thanks for having me on the show. So yeah, let's talk about it.
I'm so proud of you because I imagine that a few years ago you probably would have been able to say something about yourself. So
True.
that's quite
True.
All right. Let's start from the very beginning. I don't know if you remember, were you there then? I'm not sure. But there was a time in secondary school. So we went to Oyo, went to high school together. I had to take exit to go home because I was having some pains in my breast. And my mom came to get me, and then we went to the doctors, and that was when, breast cancer was they were talking about breast cancer, and I just thought, oh my God, this is it. I'm dying young. But it ended up that I was because I was just growing up into poverty. My breast glands was still developing, and I think something about I didn't even have to have surgery. It was just let it, because when I would jump, I had so much pain in my boobs. But it was just me coming into puberty, and the doctor reassured my mom everything was gonna be okay. But I cannot lie to you just how much stressful it was for me leading up to that moment when I finally heard from the doctor that everything was gonna be okay. I thought I was dying, and I think that was the very first time. And from then on, I've always been cute to women's health and just our body and just how serious it is. And then when I started getting my periods and compared to my other friends, and they're like, oh, that's so heavy, or you don't, bleed as much. So my question for you with this, when was the first time you started paying attention to women's health, especially your health? Do you have a story you want to share about that?
Okay. Funny, it's weird. I think I started paying attention to my body after marriage. Yes. I think before marriage, I didn't pay so much attention to my health as a woman. In fact, if you ask me certain questions about my body parts, I probably sound very stupid. I'm like, she says it's like something else, girl. She doesn't even know her body parts well enough. So while, yes, in high school, they taught a lot of things around, yeah, because you're right, breast cancer campaign started strongly when we were in secondary school. And they taught you how to check your breast and all those things. I think I mentally blocked
in the mirror.
Yes, I think I blocked those things out because I just didn't want to know. I'd also seen older women struggle with their health. And I just felt like as long as I don't face my health issues, as long as I don't pay too much attention to my body, then I could live in the moment and enjoy my life. I think that was pretty much my thinking. Like, I just didn't want to be worried about something that at the end of the day, I might not be able to control. I have to submit myself to some professional guidance. I think I just didn't want to be bothered about that too. It's probably why until I got married, I wasn't thinking about it. And the only reason I started thinking about it in marriage was because, of course, when you get married, everybody starts asking you, alpha. And it was taking me a while to be pregnant. So I think at that moment, I just started paying more attention. In fact, because after marriage, I started paying attention to what was a menstrual cycle. Before then, if you ask me, Before then, if you ask me, I don't know. I just know I'm on every month. You ask, until I got married and people started saying, alpha. I didn't start tracking, is it 21 days, is it 7 days? I wasn't paying attention to those things. Truthfully, I before marriage, I just wanted to live my life. I was more focused on, say, career, opportunities. I was like, let me just leave. I cannot be bothered about all these other things. When I get to the bridge, I'll cross it. And so pretty much that was what marriage is. It just said, okay, start worrying about it. Yeah.
Wow. And I think your story is not different from most of the women that I've spoken to, right? And because, even labeling their vagina parts, the vulva, the mons, the labia majora. So everybody even know where the clitoris is. And these are the people that own those body parts. And I guess the question is, where could it be the society we grew up in? Because we tend to be too modest about these kind of issues, right?
Yeah.
I won't lie to you, it wasn't until maybe I don't want to even say how long ago. It wasn't too long ago. Because it's kind of embarrassing. Before I could understand that the vulva is run from the vagina. Or know the differences between, and I have a PhD, right? But it's just that cognitive dissonance about body parts. Is it just for people like us that are from Africa and, being females that, they don't tend to talk about these things because, you don't want you to be all loose and, randy dandy. Why do you think is that different for us? And do you think it has changed with this new generation of kids people are birthing?
So I think it's a lot more around modesty as a girl child. There's a lot more about things around virginity and keeping yourself till marriage. And so there was so much emphasis on, and also when we were growing up, people remember the teenage pregnancy was quite high, but our mothers constantly just said things like, talk about for point, which means if a man should touch you, you'll be pregnant. Nobody really sat down to have the conversation. And then when we got to biology class and the teachers wanted to have the conversations, most times it was also a bit awkward for the teacher because the biology teacher is most likely going to be male. So it will feel a bit, it was more comfortable talking to the boys. But for girls, and for those of us who went to girls only school, it was really let me just show you what's in the textbook and walk away. You can draw it, figure the rest out yourself. So I think it's because of the environment in which you grew up, a lot of emphasis on modesty. And I also think, like from conversations I've had with my mom as an adult, she said things like she truthfully thought if she talked about those things with us, our body parts, and the responsibilities of your sexual organs, she felt like you would then want to explore. So she sincerely thought, if I don't talk about it, then you're ignorant, then you just walk in fear, which is simply no boy should touch you. What it meant that no boy should touch you, it was just vague. No boy should touch you. So I think that's why. But I've also met friends, who grew up same time as us, and they are very aware. But I remember that as teenagers, we used to look at them like they were bad. It was like,
I know, they knew everything.
Like a bad girl. So,
you know so much, But you know what? I'm changing in the sense that the conversations I have with Ari, I talk to her about, I don't even call, bum bum. I call the body parts like the way
Yeah.
they're supposed to be called. And it's so much so that even when I'm like, showering for her and I have to wash, she's like, don't touch it. I'm like, it's okay, mommy can touch it if she's showering for you. Like,
Yeah.
So don't touch it. Because I always tell her, no one should touch it. This is Ari's space, and all that. But I'm more encouraged to talk to her about just, autonomy and her body and, what is a good touch versus an unwanted touch.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's super uncomfortable, but, I'd rather just do it now. And of course, these messages will be age appropriate. I'm looking at her as a 4-year-old now. There's only so much I can talk to her. Once she's 5, the conversation gets to another level and then we keep going on and on. I just want her to be very aware, of her body and, also be aware of her autonomy and be able to speak up about if anything is, going on with her.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious, I know you have kids as well, especially you have a daughter, which, I know you love so much. What are your conversations like with her and how are you preparing to because the way I see parenting is what we know, but we also try to do just a bit of margin of improvement what our parents give to us. They did what they could do, So how are you changing the dynamic, even if it's just marginally?
Okay. So to be fair, I think my husband does more talking to all my kids, including my daughter, than I do. I still have a bit of my mom's fears. Yes, there's still a part of my brain that says, if my mom writes that if you know too much, then maybe you get curious. The other part of my brain says, what if somebody is not touching her inappropriately and then she she says the person is, like, how do I know when if I teach her all of these things, how do I know when she's communicating effectively and accurately to me? How do I know that she's not just magnifying it in her own mind? And I know that sounds weird because a lot of times people that have also dealt with sexual abuse, people have always responded with, is she mad? Maybe you're thinking about it the wrong way.
Yeah, you're overthinking.
Yeah. So right now, I think my emphasis more is around teaching my daughter how to protect herself. So I talk about things around if somebody should, the only people that can kiss you are I'm very specific. If anybody tries to, please run away, walk away. Nothing bad can happen to mommy and daddy. You should always feel comfortable to tell us. So, and also because my husband is quite involved in those kind of conversations with her, that also helps. So I tell her things. Body parts. I started body parts very early with all my kids. So the boys call their body parts penis. They're specific. My daughter calls it specific words. If you tap her buttocks, she's going to correct you. Like, don't do that. If I also do it just by playing, she's going to look at me and like, mommy, like, why? She's like, why?
Yeah.
So I'm still not 100% comfortable having that conversation because I'm looking at her to like, Ari, she's just 4+, and I'm saying I just have to let her understand what is right, what is okay, and what if somebody does is definitely not okay, and you should speak up, you should run away, you should find safety. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think those are the ways to go. Especially, and I won't worry so much about her magnifying it as much as not having that conversation at all. And with time, she'll learn to adjust. Okay, you know what? I can adjust appropriately. One thing I would like to prioritize is just being able to have that open communication with my daughter, where she's free to talk to me about anything, and she doesn't have to worry about trying to dumb it down or speak, from one side of her mouth because she thinks I might be very hysterical, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah. I mean, man, especially with the world we live in now, and just seeing how abuse has been, because in talking to women, I had a book club the other day, and in talking to women, you will see that when they say 1 out of 6, no, it's almost like 5 out of 6 women have been either mishandled or sexually abused in one way or the other. Not as if one abuse is better than the other, but sexually abused, period.
Level, yeah.
And it's like, what the heck is going on? What the heck is going on? So yes, I think the bravery here is that we're doing one better than our parents, And even though it's uncomfortable having these conversations, we're having them nonetheless. So kudos to us all. The next question for you, you kind of alluded to it, so I think we can just comfortably and safely get into it. You talked about how when you just got married, it took you a while to kind of, conceive. Can you walk us through that journey and what that was like, especially the feelings you had, at that point? Especially because it was also at the same time you're paying more attention to your body.
Yeah.
And then you also had this pressure, from the external people, like, how far? When are we coming to eat another set of rice? For those that are non-Nigerians or you don't understand the phrase, when people say, when are we coming to eat rice? Rice is a party food. It's like, when are we coming to have a party? And once you had a marriage or you had your wedding done, the next set of rice to be had is for your baby, your naming ceremony, your baby shower. So that's what that means. When are we coming to eat rice?
How was it? I think for me it was a lot to deal with because one is, so I was coming from the thinking and the practice of no sex before marriage into the institution of marriage without anybody having a sex class with me to say, once you get married, this is things you should know, this is how you should do this, how you should prep your mind, your soul, your body. Like, I went in blank. If there was anybody that tried to have any kind of conversation with me, it's probably just be my sister, my older sister. I don't really remember anybody having that conversation. So getting in there, when I didn't get pregnant on time, I just thought I didn't know how to have sex. That was really what was on my mind. Like, I just felt like
that you didn't know how to have sex. That's what you thought.
Yes, that's what I thought. I just felt like there's an approach to it. And when you now meet older women, actually, they talk to you and they say, lie in bed, when you finish, raise your leg, just use a pillow, stay in bed. And they're like, how's that? And you're trying to figure
it doesn't work for everybody, by the way.
I'm trying to figure it out.
That doesn't work for everybody.
Yes. And I also remember when at some point I was just so stressed. I said, okay, let's go see a doctor. Then we go to see this doctor. And somehow, in fact, when I think about it, I felt like that guy was so unprofessional. Because he was asking more questions about sexual behavior than the biology. So, do you know your menstrual cycle? Do you know this? He wasn't having that conversation. He wasn't having conversations like, were you sexually active before marriage? I'm like, then when I said no, he was like, what about your husband? I said no. He was like, are you sure he's okay? He just was, are you sure he's okay? He's not normal. I just have to, and he's an older man. If somebody is supposed to subscribe to the school of thought of it, some people definitely will not have sex before marriage. And I think I left that session confused. I left the session really thinking, okay, maybe if I was sexually active before marriage, maybe I will not be so confused on the process of having a child. Then we got another opinion. And then when we got the other opinion, the guy was just like, okay, so you guys are still young in this thing. Calm down. It was just more, he tried to appeal more.
Sorry, how long ago? How long after your marriage? How long after your marriage again was this? Does this whole...
1 year.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Okay. So the guy just said, you're so young, just like relax your mind. So he did more appeal to my mind to just say, calm down. He did the chat, okay, your menstrual cycle seems to be okay. Yeah, you guys are fine, just calm down. Then he just did some tricks of maybe some vitamins. It's just, he just, I suspect like he gave the vitamin almost to just say, don't let these people leave my office. I feel like I prescribed
something. Yeah.
So he did that, but I think it was quite stressful. I think it was very confusing for me because I was dealing with a cultural change. I was at the same time, all of a sudden, I'm trying to pay attention to my body, and this was my body that I did not understand before now. If you talk about ovulation before then, I didn't even understand what you're really talking about because I just didn't pay attention to all of those things. So I think it was stressful. It was 1 year, but that 1 year felt like years to me because every time you have sex, it's like you're just, you want to ask the other party, so
thinking about it, like, is it gonna be it?
And you're just like, okay, let me check. I had one app, and like, okay, let me check the app. Maybe this was the time. It was stressful. It was short but stressful. Yeah.
I remember when your first child was conceived. It was in Vegas.
Yeah, it was after the Vegas trip. Yes, yes,
Or maybe Vegas just oiled it up. Because I
yes,
remember, yeah, I
yeah.
was like, what?
It's true.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
how old is your first child?
September is gonna be
It's like
it's gonna
11
be
or
10
10?
this weekend.
10.
Yeah,
Okay, I should know that. It's
yes.
my godson. And then, so you had Larry, and I know we share the same birth month. Happy birthday, by the way. It's my godson. So, and then
Yay.
walk us through just because it was from you, actually, from you that I kind of was aware about it, but you were the first person I ever had that conversation with about secondary infertility. And I would say that it wasn't something I had, created space to even listen to about or even talk to about because I was still stuck in the primary stage of
Yeah.
it. And I'll tell you just some of the things that maybe you don't remember, but just walk us through the next wave of it because, the second time I felt like it was a bit more difficult for you and you had to go through some emotions as well.
Okay.
And maybe just talk about your own experience having that and maybe some of the support that you didn't think. Because I don't think people are well supported. People that have secondary fertility. I would say that the first time you had that conversation with me, my original thought was, "Oh, at least she has one. What's she worried about? Like, at least you have
Yeah.
one." But I think the more you talk to me about it, you actually helped me sit in that moment with you. Like, you know what? Let me listen in. And I realized that, oh my God, this is a struggle. It's different from my struggle, but it's a struggle
Yeah.
nonetheless. And since then, I've kind of like switched my MO. I'm more empathetic. I can put my own problem aside and just be in that moment with that person. But you helped me get to that person because I cared about you and I knew that you wouldn't be bringing your problems to me as a way to kind of, rub it on my
Yeah.
face. So I knew that this is not for me. So I had to because my natural reaction was just, what the heck is this girl about? Like, is she for real right now? Like, at least she has one, but again, it's neither here nor there. You can have both truths. Like, you can have your own troubles, but also find a way to be there for your friend.
Mhm.
But let's just talk about what that was like for you and just, maybe some words you can also have to give for those who might be navigating those problems right now.
Okay, thank you. The second one, I don't know how to explain it. Again, so maybe because I'm in Nigeria, people pay attention to almost everything when you're a married woman. If you hang out too much, if you have friends the opposite sex, and you hang out with them too much, everybody's like, you spend if you work long hours, everybody's like, people are consistently checking you for something. And when you also have one child and it's taking a while to have the next, it is saying like, and the sometimes can be a combination of, but she has one, or is it that one is not for the person she's married to? Or is it that one is, people start thinking of all sorts. Or is it that one is somebody else's child that maybe I've just been living with her? So for me, I'll say the secondary, going through it the second time, and this time was longer because there's 6 years gap between the twins and Damilari. So 6 years. It was just
6 years?
6 years.
Wow.
6 years gap. So it was just, it just felt like one. At some point, I thought, okay, maybe I was just always going to have one child. But then, shortly after that, maybe like 2-3 years after waiting, I got pregnant, then had a miscarriage. So
you had a miscarriage?
Yes, I did. In fact,
you never told me about that.
I'm surprised. Yes, I had a miscarriage at least, let's say, maybe around the time Damilari was 4. Yes. That was even.
Did you tell me about that?
I'm surprised I did. But yes, I did. I believe I did. Huh? I had a miscarriage, say, when Damilari was about 3-4 years old.
How far along were you?
Maybe 8 weeks. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It was the first trimester, but definitely that crossed the first 4-6 weeks of drama. Yes, it was.
But still, yeah. Yeah. But still.
And so with the miscarriage happening while waiting, it was very confusing for me. That's the truth. That's 6 years. I also have very vague memories of that time. if we had this conversation, yes, if we had this conversation when the twins are like a year, it might still be fresh. But because now the twins are 4, I have vague memories, but I can just tell you some of the emotions I had. I had a lot of confusion. It also puts a bit of emotional gap between my husband and I, because throughout, it's sad, we say it now, we laugh about it now, but the first, I'll say, until we had the twins, until I gave birth to the twins and went through it, we never enjoyed sex. That was the truth. The sex was a chore.
So it was more of just a let's hurry up and do it. Yeah, almost like it's more for like to get, I know what you mean.
We didn't bond at all. It was just like a chore, and I could see the frustration in his eyes sometimes. It felt like, no, maybe he's not a man. And this is us with one.
Just pump out the sperm. Yeah. Like an ice cream machine.
This is us with one child already. And then your husband feels like he's not a man. And then if you are looking at yourself like, am I okay? Am I not okay? And so for the first few years, we didn't bother too much, but we were worried, but we just didn't voice it to each other. But individually on our own, we were like, okay, what's going on here? And it took us, after that miscarriage, to decide to then seek medical guidance. That's the truth. And even to do it, the first person I believe we spoke with was actually my uncle, who's a medical doctor in the UK.
And the one? Is it the one that had triplets?
Oh, no. No, it's not the one that has triplets. It's going to be that way older, yes. He's in the UK. Okay. So I just reached out to him. My younger sister said, you know what? The first person I think you should talk to is my uncle in the UK. So I reached out to him. He asked a few questions. Okay. In fact, that was when it occurred to him. So as much as I thought everybody in my family was counting the years, I didn't know that there were people that were actually not counting the years. So on that call, my uncle just said, oh, what's the gap? How old is that man? And I said, you didn't know, because he wasn't paying attention to that. All he knew was I had a child. But in my mind, it really did feel like the whole world was looking at me and judging me. And then he just had the initial conversation, and it was one that gave us the encouragement and prepared our minds. He said, in fact, it was one that spoke to us about secondary infertility. He said, yes, you guys are younger when you had this child, a lot of things that happen, chemical reactions, different things, so your body can change. So he just had to come and prepared our minds to say, so whatever you see once you start the process of getting medical support and they're doing your checks, don't feel like you're incomplete. It's just your body changing. And so it was the one that pushed hard that we should get medical interventions very early. He insisted that we should get medical interventions early. He made the calls to refer us to say, okay, go and see this person, go and see that person. And they assured us, and see, the conversation you've had with me, I'm not going to tell my sister, who is my mom. So it was clear, like this is a private conversation. I don't want it to feel like I'm going to pick the phone and start telling my sister, so that gave a bit of comfort. I enjoyed support from some friends that season. I had friends who spent more time really just praying with me. Yeah, they would just call and pray. And I think the prayers helped, but sometimes the prayers left me quite anxious, because I was constantly saying, I was constantly waiting on God and saying, oh, maybe it's going to be this month. So I couldn't also wait. I knew I had to wait for this to happen. I was very impatient, and it wore me out. I also think during that season, I sacrificed a lot of my passion and the things that are important to me. I gave up because I was more focused on and trying to have more kids. And in that process, I gave up me. I gave up me either because I wanted validation from in-laws and family, and then I didn't want to pursue. I didn't want to look like a woman with one child who is so ambitious. So I slowed down because I didn't want people to have too many things to count against me. So I was like, okay, let me just settle. He was drowning, and it was also weird at the same time because you're like, I'm okay. But then there's part of me that's saying, maybe I'm not okay. So now, see, I've not thought back this much. I've not thought about this much. Like, yeah, I've also had experiences where people mocked me. It was weird. Like when somebody makes it
to your face.
Yeah, like the person thought they were saying something really funny, but it actually wasn't funny. You know,
What did they
she
say?
just implied that she said it in Yoruba, like, oh, you are being like you're all sophisticated, going around with just one child. I guess she meant it like, I don't even know what she was thinking. I guess she meant it like, oh.
No matter how you meant it, no. Did she backtrack? I'm like, oh, by the way, this is not what I meant. Did she backtrack?
No, she sincerely
Then she meant it that way.
She meant it like, oh, you're intentionally not having more kids. You're intentionally not having more kids because you want to do other things. And this is me that felt like I was giving up in a lot of the dreams I wanted to pursue. And this is an older woman looking at me and saying, I'm still pursuing, and that is why I'm not having other kids, going around with just one child. So I just shared now. I didn't even recall this. As we just go, I'm just like in my mind running back to that period and what it looked like, and that's I just remembered. I also struggled with having help at home. I felt like I had to do everything myself. I always felt like, you know, it's one child. If I have a domestic help at home, everybody's going to look at her. She has one child, or does she have all this domestic help? So I don't know. It was interesting. Interestingly, yeah, it was.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know you had it this bad, and I think it's just like hearing you just talk about it really made me really sad. I didn't know how bad he had it, you know. And I think this is another lesson of how we just don't take people at face value. You never know what people are going through, you know. And I think it was also you that lesson of when someone is pregnant and they make the announcement, stay in that joy with them because you don't know what people go through. And because I didn't know about your miscarriage one, but I knew that it took a while for you to have your twins, and I knew the things you went through, right? And so I learned to kind of stay in the joy and don't just say, oh, they had it easy, because you never know until they sit down and tell you what they went through. You never know, even up until the moment in the OR, you know, operating room and all that, or delivery room, whatever it's called. You never know. But I'm glad that you're able to look at this now, and you've blocked out a lot, one. And I hope it's not your brain just blocking it out as a way of not dealing with it. I hope that's not it. And if there's still some trauma to be metabolized, I hope you seek a therapist and talk to them about that. But the fact that you're able to share this and be more candid, I imagine it's going to be very helpful to a lot of, not just women, but also husbands going through this. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Whew. So, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. I launched this product, yeah, and here's how I feel about it. I told you about it a while ago, but I never talked about it again. And here's why. I knew it was something I should have done a while ago, but it just felt like the most ridiculous thing ever, you know, because it's yet to be resolved, at least to me. And you talk about people talking about you and maybe saying things about you. I mean, if you've gone through this journey, there's nothing you haven't heard before. Even from people you care about. And I've learned to sieve the messages into two. Those who care about you and those who don't. And even those that care about you have said some hurtful things. But you kind of like go like, okay, it's out of love. I can't just cancel you because you said this.
Yeah.
I'll just manage my expectations. If I'm able to call you out, I'll call you out. Otherwise, I'll just move on and just go and cry to God. But there's nothing I have not heard. There's nothing that hasn't been said within my hearing shot or outside of my hearing shot. But the struggles are real. And I know the pain, the pains, you know, I go through, and I know the pain women like me go through. And so when I got the lead to, like, you know, start this project on raising funds for fertility issues and building a community for women who are, you know, 35 and above, I thought it was the biggest joke. I'm like, God, really? Like, really? Like, it can't be. Like, this can't be it. Because it's almost like even exposing, the vulnerability and the pain that has yet to be healed. And you're telling me to do this. How do I do this? Now not casting some form of, limelight into my issues. But I obeyed. I'm like, yeah, let's just get it done. But I won't lie to you that it's not hard to feel like, and I'm just gonna say it. You can tease it out, and I know you're gonna try to respond to it, which is okay. This is how it feels like. I've walked with so many women on this path, and I've canceled, and I don't want to cry. Okay, hold on.
It's okay to cry.
I've walked with so many people on this path, and I know it's okay. I just want to get the words out. I've held their hands. We've talked together. We've consoled each other, and it happens for them. Which it's happy. It's happiness for me to see that happen. But I just feel stuck in this classroom. I feel like almost like the picture is like I'm just stuck in this classroom. I can tell you the paints on the wall. I can tell you the curtains. I can tell you which part of the wall has has been bruised, has been dug into. I can tell you the colors of the chairs. I can tell you the number of chairs. I know the room very well, and I feel stuck. And someone enters that room as a new student, oh, that's the person you go meet. She knows everything. She knows the in and outs. She knows the professors that will pass you. And I feel like that student that is just stuck in that class that has never graduated. That's what it feels like to be on this journey. And maybe it's an oversimplification, but it feels like that sometimes. And it's why sometimes there's a lot of shame talking about it, because it's like, why is it not just working for me? Why is it just not working for me? You've tried so many times. I've put my body through so many things. Even when it's been outsourced out, it's still the same outcome. And so even doing this project right now, I won't lie to you, I'm already worried about just some of the backlash. Not like backlash from people. I know I'll get a lot of support, but just the possibility of exposing yet another part of me that hasn't fully healed, and I'm still going through it. I mean, heck, recently, I still went through it. So that's how I feel. But I know it's something that it will benefit a lot of people. But I'm just going to stop there and have you just share your thoughts. And let me clean my eyes and my nose.
Really? So the question that comes to mind is, if not you, then who? I'm sorry.
Just stop that. Why me? No. Why me? No. I want to stop being a soldier. I just want a baby girl life. I'm tired of that.
I don't want to relax and be taken care of. There's something I always say. Those of us, our privileges come in different forms. Our privileges, they come in different forms. Some of us, our privileges come from us going through very tough times, but still having what it takes to navigate that tough time. Some people do not have the privileges that we have. So you're deciding that you want to do this project to help other women who are struggling with similar issues. You have tried several times. I have tried several times because I had the finances too. And that thinking again might be coming from my work with low-income women. There are people that have severe needs, and those needs cannot be met, not because they lack ideas on what to do. In fact, not because they don't even know where to go, but because they don't have the financial capacity to do it. There are people who have the financial capacity to do it, but don't have the inner strength to do it again. I've also had friends who are doing well financially and have gone through cycles of ideas. Cycles. Like a friend of mine that just finally worked for, she didn't even want to try that time. In fact, when she went to do it, she said she's been to better places. But she just said, let me just go again. So sometimes we have the privileges to navigate hardship. Some other people, they don't. Your privilege is your knowledge. Your privilege is your community. Your privilege is your resources. And you choosing to share that with someone else who doesn't have those three, I think is more than enough. I know there's something we used to always say, and I always tell you. I think being a mother is beyond being a biological mother, even though the society usually defines it by being a biological mother. Look at what you do with Ari. You also have to begin to realize that helping other women become mothers make you a mother to that child they conceive. That's the truth. That you're bringing something to the table to enable somebody else procreate or enable somebody else do what they're trying to do, and then they finally do it. It gives you equal access to that. For me, I don't think a project should actually stop with you just so we help these women. You have to identify some of the women that you got a longer journey with. You might end up being a godmother to their children the same way you're a godmother to mine. You might end up being a coach to their children because you become part of that woman's story. Therefore, you become part of that child's history. And whatever that child becomes, you become part of it. So what else is a mother if not somebody that's part of another person's story? So you see, it's beyond that. So I don't know why God has put you inside that classroom. Me, I just know that at the end of everything, it will all make sense. But why you're the one in that classroom?
Stop making me cry for me.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
It's okay. Just go on.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
So while you're there, I don't know. To be frank, I don't even know half of how you feel. I don't. Because you've been through a lot even before now. So it's not about the fact that, you just started while you're trying to conceive. All the surgeries you've gone through even just through our 20s. Do you understand? So you have to just accept, as difficult as it is, and I'm speaking, I almost feel like I'm being insensitive, but it's a hard truth.
No.
Yes, that you have to just embrace the idea. You just have to embrace who you are. You're not accepting people's labels, okay? You're not accepting whatever anybody would say. And we are black, we are Yoruba women. They always say, the truth is this. Even if you have 7 children, they will find a fault in you. If you have 7 children,
you don't have no boys.
Somebody will say you have no boys. If you have 7 boys,
or you have 2 boys.
Yes. If you have 7 boys, they'll say you don't have a girl. If you have 3 boys and 4 girls, they'll say maybe you should have 1 more so it's equal. You have children, they will say, why are you working towards that your professor title? Don't you think it's going to take too much? Don't you think you start competing with yours? And don't you think your children will not see you? People always have something to say. Like, the truth, I've come to accept it. I will always be incomplete in front of others. That's the reality. They would always find something.
You're complete in Christ.
Yes, but I'm complete in Christ. They will always see something in me and say, this girl, this one, they will always find. So, let's be thankful for what we have. That you have the mind to think of doing this for someone else. If that project cannot stop with just helping those women have those children, that's not it. You have to, those children, you select some of them that you'll be part of their lives too. You know that in the community, in our villages, they say Yagbogbo. You know that word, Yagbo is mother of all. Yeah.
Mother of all.
And if you think of women who they used to call Yagbogbo, in fact, to be frank, I suspect some of them didn't even really have children. Or some of them we couldn't really identify who their kids were. But they were equally mother to everybody. Yes. We don't even know, like, there are women that will die in a community. They will do their burial. You will not be able to say this is the son or this is the daughter. Unless those kids introduce themselves, you don't know who they are. Because they're like, this person was a mother to me. I don't know. I don't need to know our family. So, Iyagbogo.
Thank you.
Maybe we call it Iyagbogo project.
Thanks for... No, calm down. Give me like 40 more years. Calm down. No, seriously, thank you. Thank you for working with me on that. There was something you said earlier on that I want to bring to fore, and it kind of ties to why I think this project is important. So the name of the project is the Sibyl Fertility Project. Every year around my birthday, I try to like do some form of fundraising. I've done for education, but this is a project that really, I mean, education is important to me, but this is something that is a pain point for me. And I had shared a post in July. I was reading my Bible, and that Bible verse of David and Bathsheba when they lost their child that was born out of adultery, and the servants were kind of worried about telling David, because before the child died, he was begging God and praying and not eating and all downcast. And the moment the child passed away, they were even worried about telling him that, hey, boss, this child is gone. And I think he overheard them like talking in whispers. And the moment he heard that the child was done, he just got up and he was himself again. And that triggered me because when I talked about the last miscarriage I had when I was in Ireland, away for work. And I had somebody reach out to me saying that, thank you for sharing that story. I mean, every time I share things like that, people I didn't even know going through stuff reach out to me in private. But something someone said, she was like, I live in the shadows. Like, ever since she's been married for a while. And I knew she was married for a while, but it's that kind of friend that I never really want to assume, unless you tell me you're going through this. I don't assume that everybody that doesn't have kids right now doesn't just. I leave people where they are unless you tell me. I don't try to assume or maybe make some sentence that might trigger, because I know how those things can be triggers for me. She said I live in the shadows, that she's not being herself and she doesn't even talk to people anymore. She's almost like a shadow of herself. This is why I'm starting this project, because I feel like a lot of us, understandably so, these issues are so compounded and so complex. And we're not ourselves, and we're not even living life at this moment. The only thing we see is, oh, do I have my period or not? And when you don't have your period, you get that little glimmer of hope, and then your period comes, it's like, oh my God. And that's how we've lived life. Our lives have been condensed to that point of, this is it, it's not working for me. And slowly we become a different version of ourselves. We're not enjoying life anymore. Well, there's that, cloak of depression. I really want to create a community for women to come out of the woodworks, come out of the shadow, and find ways to enjoy life back while they're still trying to navigate. Now, don't discard those dreams. Those dreams are valid. I still want you to keep dreaming of your babies and when that will happen for you. But let's start with getting you back to a point where you enjoy life. I used to be a part of a little community for women trying to conceive. And one of the women that came there, she had secondary infertility like you, but hers never got resolved. She only had a child, that one child. And it was so difficult. From her 30s to her 40s, she ended up having a child when she was 40 something. So she knew that was going to be her only child. But it's something she told me, that she's still constantly depressed because she spent a whole decade trying to have this child. By the time the child came, she had no joy. Like, there was no way that she's still trying. And the child is probably 10 now. She's still trying to get that joy back. And I think it stayed with me because then I had not even adopted Ari. And for her to have shared that with me, I realized that, my goodness, if I carry on being this downcast and filtering all my experiences through this thing that hasn't happened for me yet, when that joy comes, it might be very hard for me. So I want to prepare women. Let's take back your life a little bit. Let's take a little bit part of your life. Let's make you think about ways, because it's always joy. There's always something around you that you can be joyful for, right? We can find it. We can get you back on that path. So when it does happen for you, you don't have to start thinking about joy, because we kind of walked way backwards. So that's one of the things with the project. One of the keys is to definitely create a community to support women. And like Funmi rightly said, for a lot of us, it's not for the lack of trying. If I count how much I've spent on just trying to conceive and my surgeries and my quality of life, it's a lot of money. And it hasn't still worked for me. It doesn't mean that for you, it might be something as simple as getting a fibroid removed or seeing a consultant who can place you on drugs to balance your hormone. For some women, it's just money. Those are people I want to target. If it's just money for you, what is money? We'll find it. We'll get you on your path. But for a lot of women, it's not for lack of trying. Like, at this stage, I cannot even do any more IVF because every time I do IVF, I have to have a surgery afterwards because it kind of just shuts my system down. So it's not even safe for me at this point, and I'm turning 37, I'm almost 40. So bye-bye IVF, it's just as well. So rather than just spending that time to grieve and mourn and be like, oh, worries me. I want to turn that light inwardly and shine into women. So for some women, it's not too late. Those are the target demographic. And why 35 and above? Because that's the age. If you go to your doctors often as I've been to, they mention that almost like you're seeing your eggs doing a cliff dive jump, you're no longer fertile. As a matter of fact, once you get pregnant, they tell you geriatric pregnancy. But we want to see ways to provide hope to those women. And this is why I brought someone like Funmi. Funmi is on the board. We've launched the project. And for those that are listening, if you want to support that, you can help share with your friends and family. You can help donate. You can help contribute to our cause. If you're a gynecologist or someone in counseling, or because it's an all hands approach, all hands on deck approach we're using, not just the medical piece of it, but therapy for these women, counseling, a community where they can talk, even trying to enjoy sex again without having to think, is this a sperm that's going to work? Even the spouses as well, what kind of support can they have? These are the things we're planning to do with the project. And I suspect, Funmi just mentioned, well, you've said it now, it has to be done. That's not going to be a one-time thing. This is probably my calling in life. Perhaps it's a way of just finding joy back and taking some form of joy that I have lost from these years. I got married at 25. I got married super early. And I'm 37. I'll be 37 in a week's time at the time of this recording. It's been 12 years. 12 whole years of trying. And I want to stop trying. But I want to start helping. I want to start shedding that light that there's joy to be had. There's a community out here. You're not alone. I've been through everything. I know those nights. Your pillows, they know the tears they've soaked. When you're alone in the toilet and you see your blood just coming out from your period, how your heart just sinks like, oh, again. And doctor's appointments that are so disappointing, and how they make it seem is your problem. Or lose some weight, eat this food, or why is it not working? It's become a you problem. But there's a community here to embrace you and listen to you and provide you with hope and hold your hand and hopefully get you to that point where you need to be. This is why the project was launched.
Good job.
Good
job. Thanks for deciding to do it.
And for you, Funmi, what was it important for you? Thank you. Thank you. What was important for you to be a part of this project? And I know you do a lot of work with women, so you can tie that to that as
well. Why? So my work focuses a lot on financial inclusion, women economic empowerment. I've also seen, so at the core of women, when you ask them, why do you do what you do? The one thing, the first answer is always my children. Even for the widow. Yeah. Even so, it's like, if a woman doesn't have a child, it always feels like she's incomplete. And sometimes for some women, it's like the purpose cannot be discovered yet. So to be part of a thing that helps someone find joy, that helps someone navigate the path to self-discovery, because that's also the path of trying to become a mother. You discover a lot of things about yourself you didn't know. I think for me, it's another way of empowering a woman. It's another way of holding somebody's hand to say, you've been sitting for too long. I think you can walk now. I think you can stand now. I think you can dance if you want to. So for me, that's just it. You can empower a woman who mentally or biologically still feels incomplete. Then you're just playing around. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And my goodness, I didn't even think about that link of, because I know your work really focuses on indigent women and helping them get access to line of credit and teaching them financial literacy. But that purpose of for my children, so imagine for women that don't have children, yes, that's so spot on. There's that almost like that sense of income. And I want to just say I'm a bit accomplished in the things I do, but it's always that sense of just there's something missing, right? There's something missing. And perhaps it's there for a reason. I don't think it's necessarily bad all the time. Maybe it's just a reminder of how grounded and how human this whole process of being human, But that said, it's when it becomes darker and it's taking over the purpose of your life, that's when we need to pull you back into safety. Now, as we even round off and all that, what's your, I guess, for those that maybe just help us do a jingle. Why should people care about this project? Why should they do it and all that kind of stuff?
Why? So if you're a woman, you should care about this. That's the truth. You should care about another woman feeling complete, because having more of us who feel whole definitely makes life easier for everyone. You should care if you've seen a sister or a friend go through a similar problem. And really, even if you're just a guy, you definitely know what it feels like for someone to feel like there's something they want, but they're struggling to get it. And all they need is just for you to hold their hands to reach out for it. So anybody who cares about family systems should also care about this, because again, couples who don't have kids do sometimes feel like they're not yet a family because the child is not there. So everyone should care about this. That's it. It is. We should all care about it. Yeah.
Thank you. Whew. So this has been, oh gosh, I knew I was gonna cry, but I didn't know I was gonna cry like this, and just, but it was good. It was good kind of tears. Thanks for. I should also say that thank you for being a great friend. You've listened to me a lot. You've been very encouraging, very, very encouraging. I'll say that. And I think one of the things you do best is having to remind me, because I do have those tendencies to forget just the things I have going for me. You're one of those friends that, you remind me that, hey, you can't be, this is who you are. This is who you truly, truly are. Fine, this sad thing has happened to you, but you cannot give up because of these reasons. Thanks for doing that reminder. It helps a lot. And I hope, I've been able to reciprocate that with you as well in your journey. But all that said, thank you. Thank you for your support and your listening ears and being genuine. I think that's also very key. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kalani, darling. I love you.
Can you be? Love you too. All right, everyone. This was the episode of my dear friend and younger sister, Funmi. See, she has a lot of wisdom. I told you guys you're in for a treat. But we hope this episode, jokes aside, stirs something in you. If you have friends who might be going through this, perhaps here's your cue to check in on them. And I find it very helpful to ask people, how can I help you? Like, how can I serve you today? Or as a friend, what would you like for me to help you with? How can I benefit? How can I be of help to you as a friend, as a sister, as a brother in this journey? And you'll be surprised at things that might come up. For a lot of us, we've strayed away from our joy, and having to get back to that point is so difficult. Perhaps you can be a Harriet Tubman showing us the way and pointing that light towards joy. Perhaps it's just reminding of us of just who we are as a person, as a sister, as a wife, as a friend, and slowly just shifting our focus away from that state of present progressive of trying all the time. And for spouses, husbands might be listening today, we don't in any way invalidate your struggles. We imagine it's a lot of work for you. And I'm learning a lot on how to support, husbands through this. So if you're a spouse, a male spouse listening to this, and you'd like to come on the podcast to share your own story, especially how we can support you best, I'm actually looking forward to having such conversations as well. In any event, please check the show notes for how you can best support the project. We're planning to raise $10,000 over the next 6 months to support that project. And in addition to just the financial piece of it, we're providing some form of emotional counseling and guidance to women to support them through this, and providing some education on learning about their periods, on ovulation, and learning how to track their cycles, and foods that can help boost fertility. And it's not just going to be me talking about it, because I have clearly no expertise in this, but we have a lot of people who was supporting the show, gynecologists, counselors, and fertility experts as well. So come aboard with us and see how we can provide hope, because it really does take a village. In any event, I remain your host, Sibyl, and it's my birthday next week, so happy birthday to you, Mo. And thank you all for listening, as always. Love you guys, and thank you so much for me. Appreciate your time today.
You're welcome, darling.
All right. Kisses to my babies, and tell them Larry happy birthday from me.
I will. Be happy. Right. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.